Hi, this is Charlie with Boxing Focus, and a quick look ahead to tomorrow's Cleverly Bellew 2 card. So, 3 fights on the undercard of interest. So Joshua and Sprott first. This is the kind of fight that I hate in boxing. It's not a passing of the torch. This is an old veteran in for a payday against a savage prospect. Sprott will not survive beyond a few rounds. I really wish they didn't make these kind of fights. They're just feeding Sprott to Joshua. Sprott has lost, if you take out prize fighter tournaments, he's lost 6 of his last 7, and the last time he fought in something beyond 3 rounds was a year and a half ago. This is, it's alright. So he won prize fighter and he got to the final, of the New Zealand prize fighter light tournament. But this is a different level to Joshua. They didn't have anybody giant and explosive, any massive heavyweight prospects in these tournaments. Joshua's just going to come out and knock him out, and if it goes beyond 3 rounds, I'll be very surprised. So then we've got George Groves against Denis Douglin. I keep forgetting this guy's name. Never heard of him before. He's lost 3 times. He's even been beaten by someone with a losing record. He got knocked out by some guy with a 14-17 record. You can expect Groves to knock him out as well. He's not fought anybody serious. I don't think there's much hope for this American chap. The one thing that bothers me about Groves is I feel he's gone backwards since he left Adam Booth. Since the first Carl Froch fight, including that fight, and I know he did lose that fight, controversial or not, Froch was coming back, but Froch is a world-class fighter. I don't think there's anything bad about losing to him. But that aside, even in that fight, he was this dynamic, explosive fighter with sharp movement. He was elusive. He was ducking under punches, coming around the side. He was throwing good combinations, very sharp. And that was the George Groves 10 fights prior to that as well. It was only in the 10 fights previous to the Froch fight, the only 2 guys who took him the distance were Glenn Johnson and James DeGale, who were 2 very good, solid pros themselves. And since then, in the rematch with Carl Froch, so the first fight without Adam Booth properly. I know Adam Booth abandoned him in the build up to the first Froch fight, but since then, the head movement, the foot movement, it's all gone backwards. And against Rabras, this last fight, he couldn't get out of the way of Rabras's jab. It was almost cringeworthy. I was just watching it thinking, what the hell is he doing? There was no slipping, there was no parrying the jab, there was no work, no attempts to get inside. He was just working hard, and he won that fight by by throwing 1,000 punches, which is a bit of a feat. It's admirable, but what happened to this explosive technical fighter that we thought George Groves was? Maybe this is his actual level. Maybe, I don't know. I'm interested to see how he fights against Douglin, because really I wasn't impressed against Rabras. I wasn't impressed by the way he fought the second Carl Froch fight, which I'm prepared to put that one down to nerves, because it was in front of 80,000 people. But whatever, I'm curious. After that, we've got James DeGale versus Periban, Marco Antonio Periban, who I've seen fight before. I saw him get beaten by James Love, which I don't remember the fight actually, even though I did watch it. I can't remember whether that was the one that was a robbery or not, but anyway, I don't rate James Love. Periban looks like one of these tough Mexicans with a fairly solid style, but I'd be very surprised if he manages to upset the DeGale apple cart. but I'll be very surprised if DeGale stops him. So those 3 fights: Joshua by stoppage, by early stoppage; Groves by stoppage, probably before round 6, and DeGale on points. But then you get to the main event, and this is where it gets a bit trickier. So Cleverly versus Bellew. Bellew keeps going on about how he was dead at the scales at the light heavyweight limit, which sounds like a great excuse. Except he fought 6 more times at light heavyweight after he lost to Nathan Cleverly, which makes him full of shit. Since then, Bellew contests that he's fought a better class of opponent. They both fought one real world-class fighter. Obviously Cleverly got smashed by Kovalev, Bellew got sparked by Denis Stevenson. Take those out of the equation, Bellew has the edge, but it's not like an astonishing difference in terms of level of fighter, but I suppose he's been a bit more active lately. So it just depends how much you give the move to cruiserweight as a benefit to Bellew, really, but it cuts both ways. It's a benefit to Cleverly. Cleverly, if you look at they've got this face-off style thing that they did with Johnny Nelson. Cleverly looks really broad, and he's a lot thicker in the face. It looks like he's put on quite a lot of muscle. So, Bellew says he's that much bigger and stronger. Well, so is Cleverly. I felt the first fight they both cancelled each other out. Bellew likes to exchange shots. He doesn't really have great combinations. He doesn't really have great footwork or speed. He likes to catch you as you come in, just like he did with Dos Santos, caught him with a beautiful left hook over the top, which works really well when you're bigger and a bit more talented than your opponent. But when you're not, it's kind of this is why they kind of cancel each other out, because Cleverly's coming forward and he's not really throwing the types of shots that Bellew needs him to in order to land a solid counter right on the point of the chin. Plus, Cleverly tucks up pretty well, and he's fairly good technically himself when he wants to be. I just don't see that. I think this whole move to cruiserweight thing's a little bit of a myth. I think that the benefits, this extra power that they're both talking about, is a bit of a myth. I see it going the distance again, and to be honest, unless Cleverly's put on so much muscle he can no longer work hard for the full 12 rounds, I see him edging it again, because I don't know. I don't really see that much difference in the way both guys fight since they first fought. So originally I was listening to the build-up, I was giving the edge to Bellew, but the more I think about it, the more I think there's very little difference. They're just both a bit bigger. I don't think either of them are as powerful as at least Cleverly admits it, but I think Bellew's not as big of a puncher as he thinks himself to be. I think that really he's just going to have the same problems he had in the first fight, and it's going to be the same outcome. So that's Charlie Boxing Focus. Let me know what you think. I'm going to put a bet on the first 3 that I talked about, because I think they're obvious. I'm not touching the Cleverly Bellew fight. In all honesty, it could go either way. There could be a bit of a surprise factor in terms of additional power from one of them, but we'll see. Maybe I'll bet on it going the distance, going to points. So let me know what you think.